John.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
I got to find a clicker for you.
Yeah, I need the remote. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Hello. How are you doing? I was scratching my head thinking, how the hell am I going to transition between talking about charity and business? So I had to make a decision that whatever I'm going to share with you has one purpose. Because everybody's talking about legacy, everybody's is talking about reaching your dreams. I tell you what, it's all true if you can confront and face the most difficult part of your business. And you know what it is? Cloning yourself. That is the most difficult part of your business. Would you agree with that? Yes. All right, how's my accent so far? Is it good? I know the British guys are used to it because we're neighbors. I was born in Belgium. So what makes a consultant an expert in human resources? Well, I'll tell you a story. One day I was flying to LA, and next to me in the plane there was a guy. We started to talk, and I'm asking him, what do you do for a living? And he said to me, I am a marriage counselor. And my question was, how the hell do you become good at that? And you know what he said? Well, I've been married 7 times. So I know what it takes, and basically I make money by telling everybody what they shouldn't do. So if I look at that, I am definitely an expert in human resources. After evaluating over 25,000 applicants over 35 countries, I made more mistakes than you will ever make altogether. That makes me an expert. But I did something else about it. I did confront and face all my mistakes over the years, 30 years, and I actually created a system, which I call the no-fail hiring system, which was actually, it's a book that was a bestseller in 2015 on Amazon. Now, I have less than an hour to share with you some secrets on how to attract good people. Usually, it takes at least a day. But AC told me, no, you are good, Patrick. No worries, you'll get the message across. This being said, if you have any question within the next 50 minutes, do not hesitate, because the subject that I'm sharing with you is absolutely fundamental if you want to succeed and expand. Would you agree? How many of you are planning to hire someone within the next year, in 2018? Oh, thank you. How many of you have already failed trying to hire someone? How many of you were in an interview with a candidate completely convinced that this guy, whoever that was, would absolutely make the difference for your business, and they did. They almost bankrupted it. Raise your hand. Interesting, isn't it? This is by far, ladies and gentlemen, the most important subject of any management function. And I don't say it. Someone else say it. Let me see. How do we work this? You know this guy? All right? I am not promoting Starbucks. I think the coffee is disgusting, but I'm European, okay? Yet, what we need to realize and accept is that... Was that the British guy who did that? Okay, that makes sense. Listen, if we don't like the coffee, at least we have to recognize that they are very successful. This gentleman manages 200,000 employees. And he says from the very beginning, what made his success, any other management function was secondary to human resources. He spends every day more time than any other CEO in the field, managing, handling, interviewing people. He has all the money in the world to pay good HR managers, right? Why is he spending so much time? Because he knows that's where it starts. People is the bottleneck of your expansion. I heard someone saying yesterday, hey, what is the biggest asset in the company, the most important one? What is it? No. I didn't want to say it yesterday. I wanted to wait for today, right? Most people say the most important asset of a company is people. And I say, no, it's not. What is it then? Hold on, I need another color here. The most important asset in your business is the right people. You see the difference? That's the whole difference. If you don't have the right people, no matter how good they are, if they are not the right people for the specific job, you are going to be miserable. How many of you have had that experience? Now, here's another example. All right? What I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to show you how important it is to put attention on attracting, selecting, and hiring the right people, because this is the bottleneck of your expansion. You know this guy, right? But what you don't know is that over his lifetime, he interviewed personally more than 5,000 people. More than 5,000 people. You know how long it takes to interview 5,000 people? That is a 3-year full-time job. 3-year full-time job. Why did he do that? Everybody thinks that Apple is a great example of innovation. They are not a great example of innovation. They are the best at copying innovation and buying innovation out so they can use the technology. But I tell you why they are the best. At every level of management, they spend more time, 2 to 3 times more energy than any other company in the field, just to make sure that they hire, they onboard, and they manage good people. It does not just apply to multinationals, but if it does apply to those, do you think it could apply to yours? Because here's the bad news. How many of you have been educated to interview, to attract, and hire, and onboard people at school? How many of you learned that? Raise your hand. No one ever learned that. You know how you learn it? By experience. And statistically, 81% of business owners, they say it was a bad experience rather than a good one. Raise your hand if you have had mostly good experiences in hiring people. Raise your hand. Look around. Yeah, I hope there's a minority, at least some of them. Raise your hand if most of your experience has been so far not so good experience. Raise your hand. Why is that? See, that's the key question. Right? That's the key question. So my ambition today, and I know I don't have a lot of time, is to give some tips. Just a few tips that will help you make the difference. Now, I want to tell you the biggest mistake that employers make. And I've worked with multinationals, small businesses, small shops. The same mistake is made by over 95% of business owners. What is that biggest mistake? Biggest mistake is they think that their biggest challenge is to find good people. How many of you have had difficulties to find good people in the past? Don't be shy. Okay, that is not the challenge. Your real challenge in today's economy, have you noticed the economy is doing pretty good? Did you notice that? Well, when the economy is doing good, here's the biggest challenge. It's not to find them, ladies and gentlemen. Your biggest challenge is to attract them. What's the difference? They have to find you. You don't have to find them. But here's the point. They are out there, the good people that you are looking for. The problem is, most people don't understand that the first challenge in hiring has absolutely nothing to do with hiring. Your first challenge is not about hiring. Your first challenge is about marketing. You have to be willing and able to apply all the rules, the golden rules of marketing, into the subject of hiring. Because good people are out there. But if they don't know you, if they don't think that you are worth it, they will never respond to your posting. So when I say that your major challenge is to attract them, let me give you an example. All of you who decided to hire someone this coming year, how many of you have a website? Everybody has a website. How many of you have a career page on that website? A page that is dedicated to communicating to potential candidates. Raise your hand. All right, everybody else, you do not exist on the employment market. I don't care where you post the job, your ad. If you don't have a dedicated career page, You know what it means to people? What does it mean? You're not really there. It's not so important. That's marketing. Now here's another question. You're going to hate me after this hour, I'm telling you. Here's another question, right? Those of you who do have a career page dedicated to, communicating to potential employees, what would you say should be first on that career page? What should be there first? Huh? Well, you should communicate that you are hiring, right? The first thing that you should have on that career page is a personal message of the business owner. People don't work for companies, they work for people. They want to know who you are. Ideally, that personal message on the career page should be what? A video personal message. Why? Because most of the time when you are trying to hire someone, chances are they are pretty young people. Would you agree? Most of them what we call millennials, who will be, by the way, within the next 10 years, the majority of job seekers will be millennials. So you'd better get used to them. Video introduction is 6 times more attractive than a text message. You don't need to do this professionally. You have an iPhone, you have a smartphone, just do a video. Now, what should you talk about in that video? Less than 2 minutes. What should you talk about? Remember, your challenge is to attract them. What should you talk about? The vision, the values of your company. Why are you doing what you are doing? I heard that before. What's your why? In America, it is proven that almost 72% of job seekers will give a preference to join a company that has vision. They will also give preference to join companies that are socially responsible. When you give money, when you contribute to any type of charities that you like, say it in your introduction. They want to hear that. Make sense? Or not? You might think, listen, Patrick, we are just 3 or 4 of us. I'm not sure it applies to us. I tell you what, if you are 3 or 4 and you hire someone, another person, that's 20% of your workforce. It is even more important to impress them. Would you agree with that? What's the next thing you should have on that page? Of course, at some point you should explain what position you have, right? That you need to fill. There's something else you want. Remember, hiring is marketing. Thank you, Darren. I knew the bright eye would come from the UK. You want your employees, even if it's 1 or 2, you want your employees to tell them in a video format that they are happy and proud of working with you guys. This is PR, this is above marketing. You want to show them because they will want to know. And if they don't see anything about it, right? You know that the number 1 factor in America for young people to take a job is not money. You know what it is today? Number 1 qualification criteria. Quality of life. Not like us. If you are my age, one thing we wanted to do is to work our butt off. Not today. They want flexible schedule. They want to have fun at work. Well, I think everybody wants to have fun at work, right? But let me ask you, are you having fun at work? Raise your hand if you have fun at work. How about your employees? If I was asking them that question, are they having fun at work? Then you'd better say it. That should be part of the message. Even if it's just your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your dog, I don't care. Someone should say it, other than you. You should be the first one to say it if you are the business owner, and take a couple of employees to really explain to them, it's fun to work here, we are doing a great job, we are contributing to our community. Don't forget those messages. I hope you are taking note. Because if you don't explain those things, they will not really look at joining you. They will never bother. All right, then what's next should you have? Yes, you should have your posting. You should explain clearly, what the job is, etc., etc. But I was just giving you an example of how much hiring is related to marketing. Listen, in America right now, we are living in a 120% candidate-driven market. What does that mean? It means today that the candidate dictates the condition. How many of you have experienced that? I can get this for $12 an hour. You're offering me 10? Are you kidding? And they can. Salary inflation in the last 9 months has been over 25%. Someone who could get a job for $10 an hour can get a job for 12, 13, even 14 today. Am I suggesting that you should increase your salaries? No. But you need to understand, from a marketing viewpoint, that the employment market is the most competitive market in the world. I mean, how many competitors do you have in your industry? In your area? 10? 20? Well, here's bad news. If you're looking for someone to join your company, you know how many companies in your area are looking for that person? At least 1,000. Can you see that? See, if you hire someone to help you, clean buildings, that person could do many other stuff. That person has not yet dedicated his or her life to clean buildings. That person could do so much more. And you need to understand that that is the challenge. Companies that are successful in hiring good people, where does it start? It starts with the viewpoint that hiring is marketing. Make sense? All right. And if it's not enough, I want to show you the other one here. How many of you have read that book? Definitely, I really suggest that you read that book. It's not new, it's still totally valid. Jim Collins used to say, the good to great leaders began the transformation by first getting the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus. And then they figured out a way to drive it. Now, wait a minute. I've done an MBA, right? And I learned something about business strategy. First, I have to decide where to go. And then I have to get the people on board. And hopefully they will follow where I go. That's what I learned. That's what you learned. Read that again. Completely different sequence. The good to great leaders started the transformation by getting the right people on the bus and the wrong one off the bus. And then they figured, where are we going? Very interesting, isn't it? When you have the right people, they will help you go wherever you want. If you have the wrong people, no matter where you want to go, you ain't going to go there. Makes sense, right? So, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to educate you a little bit on what it takes. And then there's two questions. What does it take to hire the right people? And there's another question. What does it take to avoid hiring the wrong people? Now, here's a question. Of those two questions, number one, what does it take to hire the right guys? Number two, what does it take to make sure you never hire the wrong ones? Which one is more important, one or two? Two. Two. It is very well known statistically. I call this the rule of 5. It's called the rule of 5. That's my interpretation of the 80-20 law. You know the 80-20 law, Pareto? Rule of 5. Out of 5 people, one of them will always do the job, no matter what. 1 out of 5 will always make it go right. And of course, you are one of them. And hopefully, you have someone working with you who is like that, no matter what. Maybe they're not so bright, might not have the highest IQ or the best background or education. They make things go right, no matter what. How many of you have someone like this, besides yourself? Good. Rule of 5. That was my thumb. Here's my pinky now. Out of 5, there will always be one person. No matter what you do, they will give you trouble. No matter what you do. You will work a lot, you will show dedication, you will train them, you will motivate them, you will babysit them. It will not be done. Unfortunately, statistically, that's the case. How many of you have experienced that? Good. Now, rule of 5. Out of 5, 3 of them. 3 of them. They will do okay, they will do well or not. It depends on what? It depends on you. So I always say, that guy, you were lucky. Those 3 guys, it depends entirely on you. That person, you'd better make sure you don't hire them. Because that person, 20% of, 1 out of 5, could actually screw your business, and I have seen it too often. Does that make sense to you? All right. So, here's good news. You might think this is bad news for you, right? It's actually good news for you. A research by Fortune magazine has basically discovered why is it that people leave their job. And they found out that people don't leave their job, they leave their boss. Now, what does that mean to you? It means that if you are going to hire someone this year, you are not going to hire them, you are going to steal them from another employer. The unemployment rate is 4.1%. It's not going to change much, cannot go much lower. There are always a certain number of people who don't want to work. But what it means that whenever you want to hire someone who's really good, that person has a job. From a marketing viewpoint, it is extremely important that you understand that, right? Because the question is, wait a minute, why would the person leave a job and come to join my company? Why is that? And that's a marketing question. So you do need to understand. And that's the good news, right? 75% of employees leave because of having suffered at the hands of tough seniors. And it's the number one reason in America why people leave their job. They will tell you, I need to make more money, right? That's a great justification because they say, I can make so much, and you go, what? And it's kind of not true. But they leave you saying, I need to make more money, yet over 52% of them will take a job with no better pay. With no better pay. Does that make sense? Right, those are marketing data that I'm giving you. You know why? Because, then it's important to find out what the hell are they thinking when they are looking to change. What do they want? So, what do they want? They want a couple of things, and I'm going to go through 4 of them, and I'm going to take a second to number 1 and number 2 because there's nothing you can do about it. 4 selection criteria that candidates are looking for when they are planning to find another job. What are they looking for? Number 1, nothing you can do about it, nature of the job. There's nothing you can do about it. So I'm not going to talk about that one, right? If you're looking to hire an accountant, you are not going to hire a nurse. Nothing you can do about it. Number 2, salary and other form of compensation. There's not much you can do about that. If someone comes to you and he or she is the ideal candidate, but he is asking for twice as much money as you are willing to pay, are you going to do that? You are not going to do that. You are limited. But here's the good news. Number 3 and number 4 are way more important than number 2. Again, number 1, there's nothing we can do about it. But number 2 gives you 5%, 10% competitiveness, not 50%, not 100%. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So, all right, here's the good stuff. Number 3. Work environment, which is actually the number 1 reason why people leave their job. The boss is part of the work environment. Okay? So what else is part of the work environment, would you say? Give me some ideas. Leadership, of course. Fear of what? That could be, they want to leave a too dangerous environment. Okay. Co-worker. Is this a friendly working environment? Do people smile at each other or do they hate each other? That's part of the work environment. As a matter of fact, going to work with friends makes people much more loyal to the employer. What else is important as part of the work environment? Huh? That's number 4. All right, but I'm going to take it. Gentleman says growth, opportunity, future. I'm going to talk about this in a second, but let's get back to number 3 because there are many other components of that. What else? Flexible work schedule. Absolutely. Company culture. Thank you very much. Social responsibility. Social life. Now, what do I mean by social life? Am I suggesting that you should start partying every day? No, but are you also living a social life at work? For example, what could that be? Are you celebrating an employee's birthday? That's social life. Are you recognizing an amazing accomplishment by someone just by, throwing a little party or a pizza party, right? I didn't mention beer. That would be for the UK. See? See, how much is it fun to work there? How much am I appreciated? When 75% of people leave their job because they were fed up about their boss, the number one reason, you know what it was? Lack of validation, appreciation, acknowledgement. The number one reason. Validation and appreciation is the food of the soul. We all need that. If we do not get appreciated for what we do, we'll go some another place. First reason, that's part of the work environment. Okay? So that's number 3. Can you be competitive there? Heck, you can. It all depends on you. Number 4, future. Now, very important. What does that mean, future? First, it doesn't mean about their future. They are looking at your future. They want to know, where are you going? Listen, if I'm a good employee and I have a job but I don't like it anymore and I'm looking to change, I'm not going to change the current job for another job that is basically in a company that is dying. I want to join a company, I want to join a group that has a bright future. How many of you have a bright future? Well, you'd better communicate that in your video presentation as well as in your posting, in your ad. You have to communicate about your future because that's the first thing they buy. Of course, some of them will also look at, do I have some career development opportunity? How many of you are offering career opportunities? Not just a job, but career development. Raise your hand. You'd better communicate that. Because today, if I'm going to change, I'm going to change for the bright future. I'm going to change to grow, which is the second reason why people leave. They think that they do not use their full potential anymore. They are being bored at work, which is the worst thing that could happen, right? So, could spend another hour on this, but please, next time you communicate about the job, don't forget what is important. Good news for you, on 3 and 4, you can compete with anybody. Would you agree with that? But you have to believe in it, and you have to be able to offer it. All right? If you say, fun work, everybody is having fun at work, and they stopped and they'll come and visit you, and nobody's smiling, nobody's saying hi to them, they will think you had been lying. All right? So that's the only downside of this. You have to deliver what you promise. Okay. So, let me scare you a little bit now. All right, I'm going to go, I'm not going to go there. Okay, here. When the market is very active, when you operate in a very competitive environment, such as the employment market, one thing that has been observed in America is a dramatic decrease in loyalty. One of the reasons is because number 3 is not good. Do you know that secretly, almost 67% of employees in America are willing to look for another job? If you have many employees, you have to be willing to face that and communicate about it. I know it's a hard issue, but yes, some of your employees are actually spending working hours to spread their resume. You just need to be aware of that, all right? I was saying 67. In the last minute, it raised inflation, 68. All right? Over 85% of the vacant positions are filled with passive candidates. What does it mean? They were not looking. But they saw an opportunity. That's passive candidate. What does it mean from a marketing viewpoint? It means that you have to be willing to promote a vacant position all over the place, almost continuously. Don't spend money to put an ad on Indeed for 2 weeks. That's not going to do anything good. You are wasting your money. You have to be willing to post that ad at least 2 months. And don't make the mistake of stopping the promotion because you have hired a person. Because what could happen? Within the onboarding period, you realize it's the wrong person. Or they realize you are the wrong person. Whatever can happen. See? Hiring people, we call it talent acquisition, is not something that you do sporadically. It has to be part of your expansion strategy. And the biggest mistake I see on the promotion side is people spend a few bucks on Indeed, on ZipRecruiters, a couple of weeks, they don't get response and they are really upset about it. Guess what? 99% of candidates who would like to come to you and talk to you for employment, when you were posting the ad, they didn't see it. On average, a small business in America will post an ad for recruiting on average on 3 to 4 job boards. Now, you should be willing to post that ad on minimum 20 to 40. When I do it for my clients, because we recruit for our clients, we post the ad on 80 to 100 job boards. Not for 2 weeks, minimum for 2 to 3 months. And my clients who complain about how much it costs, I tell them, okay, we'll take the money from marketing. Because you can have the best marketing in the world, if nobody's in the company to deliver, you're not going to make it, right? Hiring is marketing. Okay. 4 out of 5 applicants who are looking for a job do not discuss the issue with their current employer and spend up to 2 months searching before they will be confessing their intentions. Usually they are just coming to see you for giving their resignation. They don't talk about it. Whoops. All right. Here's another hard fact that I need to share with you. And by the way, I've done this business for 30 years, and some people ask me, why are you still doing this? I don't have to. But I love what you guys are doing. The economy of this country, in fact, every country in the world, depends on small businesses. They depend on you. Would you agree with that? You make the economy of the country. And I want to tell you, this is a major, major issue. I want to show you some facts. According to the FBI, corporate theft is the fastest growing crime in the United States. It's bigger than identity theft, cyber fraud, credit card theft, and internet scams. You don't have to believe it. Here's some more facts. Statistics from Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. Occupational fraud and abuse cost organization about $600 billion, cost on average 6% of your net income. 95% of all companies in the US are victims of theft, and yet only 10% of them ever discover. Now here's the ugliest part. 30% of all businesses in America go bankrupt because of employee theft. Okay, it's never going to happen to you, all right? It is not going to happen to you. But why am I showing this? Because we see too often clients who literally are on the verge of losing their business. 30% of them do. Why? Because they are not doing what they should be doing. Minimum that you should be doing, and I know that everyone here is doing it, never hire without doing a background check. Never, ever, ever. How many of you are doing that? Well, you have the right guy here. His name is Ed. You know him. If you have not used him properly, come on. Spending 50 or 60 bucks on a background check to make sure it doesn't send your business to bankruptcy, is it worth it? That's the minimum you should do. Here's another thing you should always do. How many of you are systematically conducting reference checks? Reference checks, meaning calling previous employers. Raise your hand again. That is the other buffer that you should systematically perform. Now, I hear you saying, Wait a minute, Patrick. In America, if you call a previous employer, the only thing they're going to tell you, started that date, terminated that date. They don't want to say anything else. How many of you have heard that? You know why they don't want to say anything? They don't want to get sued. They don't know, though, they could get sued by not giving you the data. Did you know that? See, most of them don't know, but you need to know your rights. If someone says, I'm not going to say anything, say, by the way, you could, no, I don't want you to say that, but you could, and I'm going to give you a tip, all right? Before you call a previous employer, send them an email, a fax, a communication, with a list of questions that you are going to ask them. Better than that, how many of you hire people with a job application form? Systematically using a job application form? Raise your hand. Barely 20% of you. That is dangerous not to use a job application form. How many of you have heard of the EEOC? Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. If you never heard of them, good. Good luck. Because if you grow, you will hear from them. The EEOC is a government agency responsible for making sure that you do not discriminate when you hire and employ people. Why am I talking about them? Because if you hire people only based on resumes, you are potentially discriminating people. How? By using information on the resume that should never have been there. This is a golden rule of objectivity and precision in talent acquisition. You should use the same standard job application form for every single candidate. Part of that job application form, you should have a waiver. And that waiver is for the candidate to sign, which says, I agree and I understand and I approve the fact that you are going to call my previous employers and you are going to ask those questions. Signed. When you use that form and you send it to a previous employer, they open up like crazy. Is that a good idea? By the way, job application form, standard form, waiver form. I don't know if you saw this, there's a kit in front of you here. It's called the Hire Master Training Kit. I produced this kit. It's a do-it-yourself checklist that guarantees you are going to have the most effective hiring process in your company. This is the result of my 30-year work as a professional recruiter. It's very easy to use. It contains all the legal forms. If you are planning to grow, ladies and gentlemen, you have no choice. One of the biggest processes, one of the biggest functions that you're going to have to take care of is hiring good people. You need a process. This contains everything you need to have, and make sure you never have problems with the EEOC. How many of you have heard of the concept of negligent hiring? Raise your hand. Look around. All right, we're about 80 people, and about 3 of you know what it means. Negligent hiring. That totally applies in your business. If you hire a blue-collar worker or even an employee who you find out later is a criminal and commits a crime or an act of violence against another employee, or worst, against a client, if that happens, you get sued. You are legally responsible for having hired that violent or criminal person, and you are going to pay, and you could lose your business, and you could even go to jail. You didn't know that, did you? I don't have the purpose of scaring you, but that's a reality. We have seen it too much. So when it comes to hiring people, it's not just a matter of, oh my God, we need to fill that job. There's a hole there. That's not just filling a job. That is contributing directly to the future of your company, your business, or to the destruction of your company. And when you look at that, you understand that it is very, very important to never hire a pinky. Now, how do you make sure that it does not happen? There are many things you can do, right? Now, I want to show you something else, because I don't want I'm just going to, okay, very interesting. You know what soft skills are? Soft skills. All right, you have 2 different categories of skills that you want to look at when you hire people. Number 1, we call them hard skills, technical skills. Administrative skills. If you hire an accountant, you want to make sure that that person can do accounting. That is hard skills. Make sense? Next to that, you have another type of skills. We call them soft skills. That's only in America where we call them soft. To me, they're not very soft. They could be very hard too, but especially when they're lacking, right? Soft skills are personality-driven skills. They are skills that are related to personality, ability to work with others, friendly attitude, willingness to work hard, team spirit, ability to communicate with your clients with having a good attitude, caring for the client. Those are what we call in the business soft skills. Number one, hard skills. Number two, hard skills. What do you think are by far the most important ones? Soft skills. It's a major mistake in America that business owners, they tend to hire people based on their hard skills, and most of them are terminated based on the lack of soft ones. It's very interesting. Would you agree with that? How many of you had to terminate an employee in the last years or two? All right, thank you. How many of you terminated that person because of a problem with hard skills, lack of technical skills? Look around. How many of you, I know you're going to raise your hand, but I still want to ask the question. How many of you had to terminate that person because of lack of soft ones, soft skills? Look around, 90% to 100%. So how come we don't spend more energy? How come we're not smarter to make sure that they have those soft skills that are needed? So I wanted to show you that little interesting research. 46% of newly hired employees will fail within 18 months. That's almost 1 out of 2. 30% of them fail because they cannot accept feedback. 22% fail because they are not able to understand and manage emotions. Those guys who go crazy as soon as you ask them something, right? Don't talk to me like that. 20% of them will fail because they lack the motivation to excel. That is a soft skill issue. 17% of them will fail because they have the wrong temperament, the wrong character. They just don't fit with everybody else. Only 11% of them will fail because they are lacking the needed hard technical skills. So do yourself a favor. When you are going to hire someone, put a lot of attention on those vital soft skills. And I will tell you, it's a huge weakness. Let me give you an example of that. Those of you who are planning to hire, how many of you have already written the job description for that position you are planning to fill? Raise your hand. You already wrote the job description. Raise your hand. Okay? How many of you did not write it yet? Okay, almost 50-50. The most important thing that you need to write in that job description, the most important criteria that you need to write in your posting, in your ad, when you look for those people, are the soft skills. So here's the next question. Those of you who did write the job description, how many of you have clearly stated what soft skills are very important to guarantee success on that job in that company? Raise your hand. Look around. 4 of you. If you do not have a clear picture of what they should be, chances are you won't get them. Oh, they will tell you when you interview them, you like to work with people? Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, I don't know how many thousands of people I have evaluated or interviewed. I have never met a candidate saying, listen, I'm just here for the money. I hate people. Give me a little cubicle, my computer, 2 hours lunchtime, and I will not bother you. I never had someone like that. I never had someone saying, you know, I intend to steal as much money as I can from you. No, never. You never will have someone like that. They will always tell you, you know, because they know they're going to get married, right? So they put up the best makeup. But I tell you a major mistake you make. when it comes to evaluating people. They are in front of you, they are talking on the phone. Here's the biggest mistake you might make. And you don't want to make it, but you will make it, unless you work with me. Huh. The biggest mistake you'll make. Even when you got married, sometimes we made that mistake. I'm looking for, okay, here's the mistake we all make if we don't know. I was telling you about soft skill, right? Personality. Do you know what it means? Personality? What does it mean? Because it's important, right? You agree with that? So if it is important, we'd better know what we are talking about. What is that? Personality. The way they approach other people, the way they behave. Huh? Who they are in the inside. Attitude. Their philosophy. The hardwiring. Okay, everything that you just told me is sometimes true. The way they are communicating. Let me show you something. In order to understand how dangerous it is not to be able to really analyze the true personality, who they really are, not what they are trying to show you, right? We need to understand the meaning of the word. If you look in a good dictionary, American dictionary, very interesting. Personality, see, that's the advantage of being European. I understand the root of the word when I look at it. It comes from Latin. In Latin, it means, the word originally was personae. Right, Darren? Oh, no, you are British, you are not European, sorry. What does that mean? The original meaning of the word, ladies and gentlemen, mask. That was the first definition. Persona. And if you understand why it was such a definition, it came from the times about 2,000 years ago with the Roman when they were playing theater, they were on stage, and they had to play different characters. You know what they would do? Now I'm the good guy. No, I'm the bad guy. They would pull up a mask. That's where it's coming from. What does it mean? Most of the time when you try to analyze a candidate, what you see is not always what you get. How many of you have experienced that? Why? Because you were trying to analyze a mask. Whereas what you need to do, you need to be able to go through the mask, right? Remove the makeup after the honeymoon, right? Or even after the first night sometimes. You need to be able to go through and really look, hey, wait a minute, who's there? By the way, not everybody does that. Many people do that because they need to find a job. They want to find a good job. They want to have fun. They want to make money, so they put up the best makeup. How the hell do you do that? Well, you need to use some tools. You need to have a good interview technique. Would you like to have an example of an interview technique? Yeah. All right, it's worth $1 million, okay? Because that's how much money we make by teaching and training people to do, right? Here's a very good example. Can someone give me an example of what type of position you are willing to fill, looking to fill? Technician? All right, so technician, they have to go and clean the building, the walls. Okay, now, give me a very important soft skill that is important for that technician to be successful. Taking care of customers, right? All right, so here's an example of a technique you could use, all right? So you know that that soft skill is important. You tell the candidate, listen, there's a soft skill, there's a personality-related attribute, quality that is absolutely vital if you want to work with us. You have to be willing to take care of your clients as if they were your family. Are you willing to do that? Oh, yeah! Great, you're hired. No! Next question. Could you give me a specific example, an instance where you actually demonstrated your customer drive? Give me some example. In your previous job or in life? Give me some example. And he goes like, cannot give you an example. What does that mean? He does not have any. Or now he gives you an amazing example. He says, oh yeah, 5 weeks ago, boom, boom, and that was great, and he was happy, everybody was smiling, and we were crying together, blah, blah. So you say, wow. No, you should be very happy about that. Heck no. Here's the next question. Who could verify that? Did you get that? Who could confirm what you just told me? And then you'd better look at the candidate, look at them, because there are two things you are looking at. The most important thing that you are looking at is the reaction. What was your question? Let me think. I don't know. See, they start to come with excuses, justifications, whatever, right? What does it tell you? See? You need to be trained. You need to really be headed as a recruiter. Because, my friends, I guarantee the expansion of your company depends on you as a recruiter, not even as a business owner. Of course, after that, you need to manage them. But if you have no one to manage, that's not going to help. Does that make sense? All right? So, what kind of people do you want to hire? I want to show you something, and then we're done. Okay. No time for this. Oh, by the way, would you like to have a copy of my presentation? Yes. Okay, you go to www.hireforhappiness.com. You go to that website, which, by the way, is on the folder that you have at the table. And you go to the contact, and basically you contact me through the contact page, and you say, Patrick, you are the best. Please send me your presentation. And I will be very happy to send you a PDF copy of that presentation. All right. What kind of people would you need to hire in order to guarantee or to put more chances on your side that you are going to expand and have fun at work? I could speak probably 2 days on the slide that I'm going to share with you. But what I'm saying is that putting employee and customer happiness at the top of your business strategy is a guaranteed strategy for success. Put all your attention from a strategic viewpoint, make happy employees and make happy customers. Why? And you'll see how this is related to talent acquisition. Why? Companies with happy employees outperform the competition by 20%. This is a research, by the way, from the Harvard Business School. I did not invent this. Companies with happy employees outperform the competition by 20% just by focusing on happiness, making them happy. Work environment, that's happiness. Happiness in the workplace raises sales by 37% and general productivity by 31%. Hello? Just by doing one thing. Focusing on happiness, which means please do not hire people who don't want to make you happy. But that's coming in a second. Happy employees take 10 times less sick days, and they stay on average twice as long on their job. They are twice as loyal as other employees in less happy companies. When you really read this, do you agree it's worth to put attention on that? Yes or no? Yes. All right. So, what do you want to do? You want to focus your employer branding strategy on 2 major levels. 1, you want to provide a working environment that is conducive to happiness, general satisfaction at work. Put more attention on that for yourself and for everybody else. Number 2, this is where we are coming here. Hire only people who will score very high on what I call the happiness contribution index. What is that? It's a measurement of how able and willing the people who you are going to hire, how able and willing they are to make you and your people happy. It's not about being happy. I have seen very happy people making everybody else miserable. You don't want that, all right? You might think that hiring people who are happy, enthusiastic, and outgoing will increase the chances of successful hire. Yes and no. Don't fall in the trap. Being happy and contributing to making others happy is not always the same thing. Does that make sense? All right? So, I'm saying this because I created a pre-hire assessment, a pre-screening tool that actually measures 6 drivers of happiness. We actually evaluate people on those 6 drives, which allow us to predict if they will make you happy or not. Right? And I invite you to go to the website HireBox.com. You can actually log in and have a 2-week free trial of our pre-hire assessment. Next time you hire someone, minimum, ladies and gentlemen, do 2 things. Number 1, background check. Never hire without a background check. Number 2, find a good pre-assessment tool that is able and has proven being successful in detecting soft skills that could make you happy or make you miserable as a business owner. Does that make sense? All right? So I don't want to go too long on this. Let me show something else. All right? I told you about that. Now, this is what I call the pre-selector. Right? It's a happiness contribution index. You can try it for free. You'll see. When you get the results from a candidate, the results will also give you examples of questions to ask. So it really is a help tool for you to make sure that what you are evaluating is not a mask. It's not a mask. All right? And the other tool that I definitely invite you to test is called the RecruitTech test. It's a very in-depth, very, very thorough, precise soft skill analysis that you should use only after the first interview. Don't use it before, only after. Very thorough, and I know that some people in the room have used it. Darren, you've used it, right? What would you say to people? I owe him a beer. Right? The point is, no matter what you use, you need to use good tools to help you out. Background checks, vital. Vital. Most criminals, by the way, don't have anything wrong in their background check. Remember, 30% of companies go bankrupt because of employee theft? 85% of those people who were stealing had 0 trace of nothing on their background check. You could not find them. There was nothing wrong with them. They were too good to be caught. So, again, this is not to scare you. I want to make sure that you grow, and I know that the most difficult, most challenging part of your business is talent acquisition and retention. Would you agree with that statement? All right? So if you are planning to hire more than 1 person in the next year, get educated, take that kit. I mean, that kit is usually almost $1,300, and because I really wanted to acknowledge the organizers for inviting me, I'm giving you, it's even less than 50% of what we actually sell it. You will be the best headhunter you can be. And that is the #1 common denominator of every successful entrepreneur. They are great headhunters. Would you tend to agree with that? All right, so we'll be around at lunch, after lunch. We have a little booth. If you have any question, if you have any challenge you want to give me, just stop by, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you.